Sup, NERDS?
Damn it. So we've been doing this for a couple of years now, and we feel like in a lot of our videos we kind of fall into a formula. Not really intentional, but it's kind of like, we say, hey, what's up? And then we talk about kind of how the game works, some of the mechanics, some of the things we liked and didn't like, some experiences we had while playing it, and kind of end with our final thoughts. And we do a little... We're going to do it a little bit differently this time. I want to tell you what I think. I thought we were just done with that. I'm going to tell you what I think right off the bat, and then throughout the video we'll see how I got there, While I was playing this, I was thinking, I am so surprised at how much I do not like this game. Which really is upsetting, because I wanted to like this game. When Aaron and I sat down, we had this, Passing Through Petra, and Altiplano, and I was like, oh, let's play Spell Smashers. I was the most excited about it in that stack right there. But there's a lot of reasons why I realize this just is not my cup of tea.
Spelling.
No,
that's definitely took it down a couple notches for me. This definitely is one of those games, if you do not like word games, like, the original Scrabble, or if you, just like Words with Friends, which is the knockoff one, or if, crosswords, or anything that has you thinking abstractly about letters and arranging them, and you're kind of stuck with the hand you're dealt, but this game may not be for you. I definitely like this over Scrabble, because Scrabble's just a boring, okay, can I spell a long word? Oh, I spelled the best word, I get a lot of points. This is a little less punishing to people who can't spell big words. If you spell a small word, you're going to be the last one to attack in a round, and you might end up, finishing off a monster, which gives you an extra letter that you'll always have, and you'll get points and stuff for it. So it has definitely a couple good things going for it versus just a normal run-of-the-mill word spelling game.
Now you were just saying word games. Now I do really like code names and trap words, but it's not really the same thing. Mm-mm. But going into those games, I wasn't thinking I was going to really like it that much. And when we actually did an interview with Renegade at Gen Con for this game, and while I was, watching Wes, I didn't do the interview, but while I was watching that, I was like, that actually looks pretty cool. I'm not in love with spelling games, but when it has all this extra stuff, right? We're not just spelling, but we're attacking monsters with different damage we got to think about. There's quests we can get and weapons we can get and different modifiers and stuff. It all sounded so cool. But in practice, those other things, to me, didn't feel like it really changed much of your ability to spell something or the luck of the draw. I think those were my two biggest complaints. Was that, one, I just really didn't like trying to spell words with the cards, but it felt like I was really trying to spell words with whatever cards I happened to draw right then. Mm-hmm. It's not like, paperback or something where there's no building, with the exception of if you beat the monster, you get one letter that you can use later. There's no progression and building and getting better and I'm stronger and stronger, because you can only buy one thing every time you come to the market anyways. It really felt like a lot of luck of the draw of and you can decide whether you're going to draw vowels or consonants, but still, throughout the whole game, all 7 rounds, I never once saw a B, an M, an F, a K, an L. I got so many N's and T's that I was just sitting there like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And I killed a monster. I killed 2 monsters that were N and T.
You're like, okay, so I'm going to spell nut.
I know.
Note.
And the fact that I kept just looking at my phone, I wasn't putting it into a program or anything. I was just looking at the letters going, Vertilpump, is that a word? It's a word in Latin. Does that count?
Yeah, it definitely would be nice if there's a way to get more cards somehow besides just those letters, or just, be really good at spelling all of a sudden. Because I definitely, it is a struggle to come up with really big words that use all of the letters. You're that's a lot of rearranging. Plus you can get the tonic, which you can replace any one letter on a card. So you're this R isn't an R anymore. I'm going to make it into that B that I needed. But you got to be able to look at that card and be like, okay, this is going to be a different letter for me because I'm going to use this to transform it. And then, okay, so where do I want to place it? Like, you can change it into any letter, but it's still, if you don't have a really strong vocabulary and don't get the cards that you need to actually spell those words, like, you're going to be in a pickle.
So even that notwithstanding, the you being bad. So they tried to add some modifiers to
armor,
that, some mitigating luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, these things.
Yeah, there's some cool swords and things you get in there, like every Val does 2 extra damage, or if you use one of each type, it does extra damage.
And that's another thing. It felt like those were supposed to help you, but they were more like rewarding you for doing certain things, not necessarily aiding you in those things. They felt more like this than they did this. There's like one here that is a vowel. You can use it as a vowel, and that's great. But that's the other they tried to add stuff here to modify it to mitigate the luck, but I felt like it didn't really work all the time because with that, you can only come here once. The tonic, antidote, and alchemist, I'm pretty much always going to get the tonic if I can afford it because that's just objectively better. It's more money, but it's so much better, especially the alchemist. What is this? Elixir.
Changing
really,
the type.
That's not a big deal. But also this equipment though, it felt like that should have been, all of these have a cost. Each one has a different cost, and they're all on a board where they flip out and there's a market and you go buy one. The fact that you just pay 5 coins and you draw 2, keep 1, made it really luck of the draw, especially since, and this is a big problem for me, there are 3 shields that are suffer 1 less wound if your word has a certain number of letters. There's 8 plus letters, 7 plus letters, and 6 plus letters. So there's the better and worse versions of the shield, which is thematic, but I paid 5 coins and got suffer 1 less wound if your word has 8 letters. Aaron played the exact same amount of money and got suffer 1 less wound if your word has plus 6 letters. There's nothing I could do about that. That was just draw. And that to me felt like a real big balance issue, and especially because a lot of these things are better. Like that vowel one is pretty damn good. And the bonuses for that, drawing that vowel one versus drawing this suffer 1 less wound if your word has 8 plus letters, that's a huge difference. And 8 plus letters, you have to use a wound. You have to use at least 1 or 2 wounds because you only have 7 cards in your hand.
And then you have to have letters that actually match. You can't have 8 A's in your hand and go, or 7. If you had 8 A's, you're really cheating. But, it definitely makes it harder to you're like, oh, wow, I take 1 less wound for 8. Yeah, that was kind of a big deal. And armor in general, you have an armor slot. There's only 5 or 6 armors in here. The rest are swords. Yeah, there's 6 armor. So the rest are swords, which is really cool because if you have a bunch of them at the beginning of the round, you go, okay, these are the letters I have. Which one of these is going to modify mine to the best? Do I think I'm going to have initiative? If I think I'm going to spell the biggest word, then I'm going to use this one that gets me more damage. Am I going to use all fire? I'm going to use this one that gets me +1 for every fire. So they do help modify your hand to do more damage, even if you're spelling a smaller word. And you can actually defeat these monsters and get the coins, which allow you to buy more things and get the beer for all your wounds. But it's still, I wish, like you were saying, either these were on a market so that you could pick the ones you want and kind of modify your game around the way you want to play, or just make all these shields the same, because it did really suck for him. I was like, 6 letters, I can pull that off, especially if I have the wound that's ing. I'm like, I just spell a 3-letter word and add ing to it, and I'm taking 1 less damage.
That's another thing. In that exact same game we were talking about, Aaron and I both attacked the same monster. We both took 1 wound. I drew a wound. It was a Z. Aaron drew a wound. It was ing. I was like, ing is in there? That's so good. Z is so hard to do, but ing, you could put that at the end of anything. You could put it at the end of
So I wanted to say this game would be really good for teaching, for kids that are learning to spell. Let's see what you can spell with those words. And it definitely could do that. The box says 12+, and it's probably because of the violence and you're doing, hurting things, and I guess because of the size of the pieces, little kids will choke on it. Stuff like that kind of bumps ratings up. But also, there's other games out there you could teach people to spell. But, even with the 12-year-old, there's going to be new words in here they're going to be learning, necromancer and bloodthirsty, and there's a whole bunch of adjectives, quarrelsome and repugnant. You know, just
He's
like,
learning new
I'm
words.
learning words right now. What is that?
Yeah.
So there definitely is like that kind of perk to it if you're looking for that kind of thing. If you're looking for like in a a school setting, because I know there's people out there that are like, I need something for my after school program. This could work for that. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's still, there's going to be downtime between turns where people are like, okay, what can I spell? Or, like Googling what they can spell.
It's all one turn.
Yeah.
So that is one thing about it, is it is fast. It's just, that's why they have this ready, not ready thing. That's the only time it does get bogged down, is when I finish my word and you're just sitting. It's usually the other way around. You finish your word and I'm sitting there like, what am I going to do? I could do no.
It is 7 rounds, so it is kind of quick.
Any more than that, and it
oh yeah, like I felt like that was like kind of a sweet spot for rounds. If it would have been like 2 or 3 more rounds, like I don't think I could have handled it. Like if it would have been like some other thing to make it end, and it just kept going on and on, like no, so like spelling 7 words, like my brain was hurting.
Because you don't spell 7 words, you spell like 10 words every time. You go like that, spell that, spell that, spell that, spell that. And it's just, for some people, they're going to love that. Mm-hmm. And I know that is my biggest detractor. So if you're saying, no, I like that, I love Scrabble, then yeah, this would, my metric compared to your metric, this would jump up a whole lot. But my other complaints are the balance issues, or really the attempt at mitigation that I think was a swing and a miss. Like close. You hit the net at the bottom. I don't play sports, so goal!
Yeah, I'm kind of lukewarm on this game. I would play it again if somebody wants to play it, but it's not something I'm itching to play, just because spelling games have been always one of those things that I'm like kind of shy away from. I do like that it's kind of a dungeony, fighting monsters thing. That definitely is a perk for it. That's why I would play it again. If somebody said, hey, you want to play Scrabble? I always say no. I'm like, no. Unless it's my grandma and I have to. But, this, like, if somebody asked me to play this, I'd be like, sure, yeah, let's play.
Your grandma's like, playing Scrabble is the only way to keep the curse away.
There's a lot of variety in the swords that you can get to modify your words and how much damage you're doing. There's a whole bunch of variety in the monsters. Like, some of them give you a lot of coins, out there for defeating them. Some of them do a lot of wounds to you, which kind of sucks, because then you have these really hard to use Z's and V's and...
But the more wounds you get, the more beer you could get and points you could get. But if you're going there to get the beer, you're not getting a replace a letter or getting rid of the wounds or anything like that. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. If you do like those type of games, then you're probably not like me, because I was, ultimately pretty negative on this, as you could tell. I don't know if it's it. I'm very reluctant to ever say I'll never play this game again. I will definitely never elect to play this game again. But like, even Feudum was probably the game that I liked the least out of all the games we reviewed. And even that, if like everybody was like, no, come on, we're all playing, we really want you, then like, all right, sure. I'm never like vehemently, no, I'll never play that again. But thinking about playing this again gives me a little bit of a headache. But in spite of all of that, we are going to have a purchase link in the description box down below. But if you don't want to buy this, you can also just send us money in the mail.
Either way, subscribe to our channel so you'll never be bored.
Oh, we ended with the finger guns anyways.
Oh, we did the beginning. No, let's do something else.
Wait, let's do this.
You can't buy that.
Betty Grables.
Sup, NERDS.
Sup, Pacacos. Dryos.
He's really bad at smashing spells and spell smashers.